The Red Sox could not win the series on Tuesday night in a loss to the Tampa Bay Rays in what ended up being a rainy night at Fenway, and also in a game that just did not have Nick Pivetta feature his best stuff and the stuff that Red Sox fans have been used to seeing. Now, they did lose the series. I mean, they did not win the series. No, they can win the series Wednesday night with Brayan Bello on the mound, but it's going to be a tough task, especially after losing Tuesday.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Red Sox podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of every single day. I am your host, NESN's Lauren Campbell. I am flying solo today. Jake is preparing for a lengthy road trip with the Massachusetts Pirates out in the Bay Area. He will be at Polar Park tonight to see Chris Sale pitch for the Woo Sox and what hopefully will be his last rehab start before joining the rotation. However, today we are going to talk about Tuesday's loss. Like I said, Nick Pivetta just did not have his dominant stuff that he had over his last 8 or 9 starts. We are going to replay our interview with Woo Sox broadcast producer Derrick Willand as we preview Brayan Bello's MLB debut, his long-awaited debut. I'm so excited to watch him pitch tonight. So we'll talk about what fans should expect from him, the realistic expectations, and I also throw him on the spot and make him give us a few predictions of Brayan Bello's start. But let's chat about Tuesday's game. And even though it was a loss, the good news is that Xander Bogaerts returned to the lineup. He missed Monday's game with that thigh laceration and he needed stitches, so he only missed one game. He returned to the lineup and he hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the first inning. Trevor Story, also part of this good news here, he also hit a home run. He had the game-tying home run in the bottom of the second, which made it a 3-3 game. And the game stayed that way until the dreaded 6th inning, where things just seemed to completely fall apart for Boston. The 4-run 6th inning put the Rays up for good. And that's where the bad news starts. Wander Franco drew a walk. Isaac Paredes singled. Kevin Kiermaier hit into a force out that scored Franco to make it a 4-3 game. Randy Arozarena, he doubled. Kiermaier scored on a Taylor Wells sacrifice fly that made it 5-3. Rene Pinto made it a 6-3 game with a single. And that's when Alex Cora decided he had seen enough from Nick Pivetta. So he went to Jake Diekman. He came into the game, walked the first batter he faced in Josh Lowe, and Yandy Diaz, the villain of the night, apparently made it a 7-3 game with a single before the 6th inning finally came to a close. Now, both teams did score another run in the process, but it was too late for that point for the Red Sox. There was a brief moment of tension, like I called Yandy Diaz, the supposed villain of the night. A little bit of tension between him and Nick Pivetta in the 5th inning. Honestly, it was relatively uneventful. I thought maybe the benches were going to clear. Maybe we'd have a little tussle. But no, don't really know what happened there. Just kind of little back and forth. And that was that. Nothing really came of it. So Nick Pivetta's final line was 5 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Now, a start like this for Pivetta certainly was bound to happen. He's been so dominant in a large stretch of games for the Red Sox where he was providing the Red Sox a chance to win. He was going out there showcasing his best stuff, completely in command, completely in control, just absolutely dominating the strike zone. And Tuesday, he just did not have it. His 5 runs allowed were tied for the most in any outing this year for Pivetta. And like I said, this certainly was bound to happen. However, it was not all on Pivetta. It was not all on the pitching, because the offense, the dreaded offense, when it doesn't perform, it does not perform, to say the least. And this is per the Boston Globe's Alex Spear. The Red Sox had runners on 2nd and 3rd with no outs at one point in Tuesday's game, and they failed to score. We've talked about this so many times. The runners in scoring position, the not being able to hit with runners in scoring position, not being able to capitalize on those opportunities. So in 38 plate appearances per Alex Spear since June 24th, with a runner on third, with fewer than 2 outs, the Red Sox, are you ready for this? It's bad. The Red Sox are 4 for 31. That's a batting average of 129, a 237 on base percentage. They're slugging just 161 and have 11 RBI. That's so bad. 11 RBI, 31 chances. Holy smokes, what are you doing? Like, you need to, I haven't watched, I'm sure I've watched most of these plate appearances with runners in scoring position, but when you have the opportunity, you have a man on third, especially when you have a man on third, you need to do everything you can at the plate to make sure you score that run. You need to be patient. I watched, I think it was Monday's game, just constant, maybe Sunday's game, constantly swinging at first pitches. And I'm just like, what are you guys doing? You have several other pitches. Unless that first pitch is 100% perfect for you, and you know in your mind, and you don't have a lot of time before the ball gets to the plate, you know in your mind that that's the pitch you're going to hit, you need to swing. Otherwise, let it go, because there's going to be several other opportunities to try to get that run home. And with a man on second too, when you get that runner in scoring position, you need to be patient. And I don't think the Red Sox have a ton of patience at the plate this year. Don't think I'm breaking any news with that. And listen, you're talking to one of the least patient people in the world. I have no patience. And I get it. The Red Sox are desperate when they get those opportunities, but playing desperate baseball is not going to do them any good at this point. They need to win games, obviously. They need to win games against AL East opponents. And we've stressed this a lot on this show since the season started, since the Red Sox have played all of their AL East opponents. They haven't won a series against an AL East opponent. Now, the Red Sox do have that opportunity on Wednesday. They can win the series. But when you have the opportunity, the game was there for the Red Sox. They had their opportunities. They came back when they were down 3-0 early on in the game. They came back, they fought. And they did have a little fight in the ninth inning. They had a little fight in them, a little dog in them, as the kids are saying these days. But ultimately, the Rays were too much. They won 8-4 at the end of the day. And it's because the Red Sox squandered opportunities with runners in scoring position. And we have talked about this a lot on this show, especially in April and the beginning of May, when the Red Sox offense was just putrid. Honestly, it was awful watching this team just struggle, especially with runners in scoring position. You're not going to beat the Rays when you can't score with your runners in scoring position. You're not always going to get 5 1/3 inning from Cutter Crawford. You're not always going to be able to rely on your bullpen. You are going to have to rely on your offense in order to win these games against the Rays, and any team for that matter, when you have men in scoring position. And they can't do that right now. So it is a little discouraging. However, there's still an opportunity at hand to win this series on Wednesday. Give Brayan Bello a boost of confidence in his MLB debut and just go with it. I think that there's going to be a huge opportunity and a big test for Brayan Bello. I don't want to put all of my eggs in my basket, because it is his debut. He's a young kid. He's going against a tough team. And there will be a lot working for him, but there also will be a lot working against him, being his first MLB game, going against a tough Rays team, and hoping the Red Sox can get the series win. That's a lot riding on his shoulders, and for a young kid. But we have a lot of Brayan Bello still to talk about in our second segment of the Locked On Red Sox podcast. I welcome Woo Sox broadcast producer, my fiance Derrick Willand, back to the show. He was gracious enough with his time to preview what he's really seen from Bello in Worcester this season, and everything in between, kind of what fans should expect realistically. And he gives us his prediction for his final line, which we, of course, will revisit on Thursday's episode. But first, I do want to tell you about Blue Nile, because at BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of your partner's dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece at all prices you won't find at a traditional jeweler. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a big milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as them, the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, the size, the clarity, and the setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft the perfect engagement ring. Each ring, indeed, is one of a kind. Make your moments sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement rings as well. Use code Locked On. That is code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, it ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that will not give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. With the debut of Brayan Bello coming on Wednesday comes the return of Woo Sox broadcast producer, and he just so happens to be my fiance, Derrick Willand. Derrick, welcome back to the show. And this time we're going to be talking about Bello being with the Red Sox instead of being with the Woo Sox. So it's kind of like a full circle moment because Chris Sale is going to be pitching on Wednesday for Worcester while Bello is here in Boston.
Yeah, this is almost like I don't know. The Red Sox pitching is almost at a crossroads, or it's a key point for them. You know, like you said, Bello's going up there, Sale's down in Worcester. So the future is up there. The past, the ace or whatever, is down on the farm. It's a pivotal moment that we'll look back on either later this season or in a couple of years and kind of make whatever we'll see where we're at in the road at that point in time.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Alex Cora said on Monday after Monday's win that he's really enjoying these young pitchers, the Josh Winkowskis, the Cutter Crawfords, the Connor Seabolds, who you've spent a lot of time watching this season, of course. And now they're kind of giving him, Alex Cora, decisions to make down the road because they do have injuries here with Nate Eovaldi. Obviously, you're not sending Nate Eovaldi to Worcester or anything like that. But there are some decisions to make here. You know, this Rich Hill. There's also Ryan Brazier, Sarah Mora. Where do those guys belong? If Brayan Bello can produce how he has in Worcester, plus the return of Sale, like there's a lot of hope here surrounding the farm, especially if Bello pitches well Wednesday.
It's getting to be a numbers game, right? There's only so many jobs to go around, and there's a lot of guys that have arms that can produce at the big league level. The Bello situation, yeah, we'll have to see what comes out of that. At some point with him in particular, because he's so young, they are going to want to limit his innings. So him being a starter down the stretch and into the playoffs, probably not how it's going to play out long term. He might get a couple starts here and there. They might do that thing where, they skip him in the rotation a few times, or maybe he's just a spot starter. That could be potentially the long term for the rest of the season plan based on how tomorrow goes. Some of the other guys you mentioned, they have a few more innings under their belt over the years. They probably can carry that load a little bit more, at least a little further. But it's exciting to see what's going to come out of tomorrow. And as you mentioned, some of those guys as well, especially the two that come to mind are Winkowski and Seabold, who've had a lot of different success at the AAA level this season. Different kind of success than Bello's had, but they've had success there. Seabold has one of the best ERAs in the International League. When you go by his innings, I think it's minimum 50 innings. And we saw both he and Winkowski have a rough first start and then kind of figure it out in the second time around. So we'll see if that's what happens for Bello or not. That's kind of one of the things to watch for tomorrow.
So, like I mentioned, you are someone who has watched these pitchers closely, particularly Bello. If anyone follows you on Twitter, they know that you are constantly updating his numbers and just really keeping an eye on him. And you and I got to watch him pitch as fans last weekend at Polar Park. So what do you think fans can expect out of Bello? Because there's a lot of hype around him. This isn't not a shot at Seabold or Winkowski here, but there's so much hype around Bello because he's just cruised through the minors. So should fans expect, the 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, or you mentioned maybe limiting him? What can fans expect Wednesday?
Yeah, there's a lot of expectations. The hype train just pulled into the station. This guy is at last check on Baseball America, number 47 ranked prospect in all of baseball. He's the Red Sox number 1 pitching prospect. The hype is real, and it's earned. He's been very, very good. He started the season in Double-A, blew through hitters down there, came to AAA, hasn't had much trouble there. As I mentioned before with Winkowski and Siebold, we've seen it. They come up to the majors. The balls are a little different. I remember Winkowski said he's never described a baseball this way, but it felt damp, which is a very strange way to call baseball. But the balls are different. The atmosphere is different. Everything's different. You're coming up. You're going to make a start at Fenway Park. It's been around for 110 years. It's just different. The fans are different. Everything. That said, I think you'll see something in between. I don't know that he'll have as much trouble as Winkowski and Siebold did, but I don't think you're going to see 6 innings, 8 Ks. I think you temper your expectations to more like if he goes 4 innings, 3 or 4 runs, gets 5 strikeouts. I think that's a good debut. He's really young. He started in AA this season. Like, he's moving very, very fast. If he gives you that in his debut, that's not bad. I mean, you're getting out there and seeing what he does. I think the bigger takeaway is to see how he responds the second time through the order and how he responds coming off the start. That was the big thing for Winkowski and Siebold. They responded well coming off that first start. What does Bello do coming off of this first start? Not to get too far down the road. Obviously, tomorrow's the exciting thing, and we want to see what he does. As far as the game itself goes, this guy works fast. Super, super fast.
Very fast.
Something to watch for on the broadcast tomorrow on NESN if you're watching. And this is no shot at anybody. I know people at NESN. There's no shot at anybody at NESN. Watch, especially in the first inning, if they have trouble getting out of replays in time. That happened to us on the Woo Sox broadcast. He works so fast. At AAA, we're used to the pitch clock. They only have 19 seconds before they get to the next thing. He was taking half of that. We were having trouble getting out of replays. We started opting out of using them on certain things. So that's something to watch for. Just to put it in perspective for fans at home, if you see NESN in the first inning trying to do replays of pitches and fouls and not being able to finish them, that's how fast this guy works. Super fast.
And for somebody, I was somebody who was very, pitch clock doesn't change the game. This is dumb. And I was very wrong. And that is okay. I'm very okay to be wrong because it makes such a difference. Even when you take the full 19 seconds, it still makes such a difference in the game. But then Bello's using 9-10 seconds. Like, I think too, maybe it's not going overlooked, but he's facing a Rays team, a very strong Rays team, a team that the Red Sox are competing with in the AL East. This is a big test for him. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him, probably just from himself and the fans and the Rays lineup. There's always going to be people in that Rays lineup that are just Red Sox killers. And maybe Bello working as quick as he does is going to work in his favor because the Rays aren't used to pitchers working this fast.
I think it's many of the major league hitters are not going to be used to a guy working this fast. Chris Sale works fast. I think this guy works faster. Bello works faster.
It's like God works hard, but the internet works harder.
Yeah. So he's going to, at least for the first inning, plus there's no real book out on him. So for the first couple innings, the potential is there. He could blow him away. It's the second time through the order when they make the adjustment to see where that goes. But he has faced a couple major leaguers on rehab assignment. He made Eloy Jimenez look silly. I think he did end up getting a hit, but I think he had 2 Ks. I think he finally got a hit the third time around. I think he also faced Candelario from the Tigers organization, which also he had no issue with him as either. So it's promising stuff that he's faced some of these guys going through rehab. And I know it's a little different. They're working on certain things as well. But he didn't have much issue with them. He also faced number 2 prospect in all baseball, Riley Green, who's now with the Tigers back in June. He got called up in the middle of that series. He looked overmatched as well. So the hype is real. Bello is the real deal. The stuff is good. He gets compared to Pedro a lot. I think people want another Pedro, so I don't know if that's fully fair. But Pedro did help him out with his changeup. I know Fernando Rodney also helped him out with some grips as well. So there are major leaguers helping this guy because they see something in him.
And the right major leaguers that you would want helping someone like Bello, who has all this hype around
Right.
him. And as we mentioned, like we said, it's kind of a full circle moment because Chris Sale will make hopefully what will be his final rehab assignment in Worcester. You will, of course, be at the game. What are you expecting from Sale here? The plan is for him to go 5 innings. Do you think he goes that full 5?
I think so, based on he was only supposed to go 3 in Portland. He went 4 because he was so efficient.
So he'll go 6 in Worcester.
I don't know if he'll get 6 out. Yeah, it's kind of like this weird serendipitous moment, right, where he's down there, as I said before, and Bayo's up there. Viewers are going to have a tough decision. You got Sale on NESN Plus with the Woo Sox. That starts at 6:45, and then Bayo, first pitch I think is 7:07 on NESN. So have the remote ready. You can flip back and forth and watch both of them. Hopefully, Sale goes 5. He has said this is different than last year. Last year he was looking for the tools. This year he's just sharpening them. So he feels a lot more confident. This will be a really good test to him. I know I talked to Pete Abraham today, and you can catch him on our pregame show on NESN Plus at 6:30 tomorrow. But he basically said, this could be a little different than AA because these guys, they're not as free of swingers as maybe the AA guys. Some of the guys in AAA are either major leaguers that are kind of on the cusp or guys that are trying to crack into the major leagues. So they're going to be a little bit more patient and kind of take their time and really, for their own benefit too, use this. The younger guys may use it as a learning experience with Sale, and the older guys are going to show that they can still hit a major league pitcher. So he's going to have a little bit more challenge, but I think he can get through at least 4, probably 5, without too much effort. And I think if he gets to 5, I think the Sox are going to bring him up right away. They have some issues in the rotation right now, and you'd rather Sale come up and give you 4+, 5+, and be, pretty good rather than trying to string it together with some of these other kind of unknown options.
Definitely. And one more thing before I let you go, I'm going to put you on the spot right here. Give me Bayo's final line.
Man, this could go any way. I think just because it's such a big jump, there's a lot of adrenaline. I've seen a couple guys struggle with it this year. I'm going to say he goes 4 1/3, 4 runs, 5 Ks.
Still not bad. If he gets into the 5th and could give the Red Sox a chance to win, I think fans should take it. But we've seen crazier things, right? I mean, we saw Clay Buchholz throw a no-hitter in his second start in MLB. So we never know what can happen. Derrick, you are an impossible get to be on this show. Let me tell you, you're very difficult to get. Where can people find you on Twitter, at Polar Park? Where can people find you putzing around?
Twitter, it's at Derrick Willand. Polar Park. Generally, I'm up in the broadcast room. You might see me scurrying down after the game to help break down a camera, something like that. I try to post ballpark views every day. It's a little fun thing I do. So check me out on Twitter for that. You can get some interesting pics. I'll repost a pic I took when you and I went to a game a couple weeks back of Bello warming up in the pen. It's kind of a cool shot looking down. So I'll repost that tomorrow just for his in honor of his debut. And hopefully I'll get one at Sale too.
And can confirm you worked very hard to get that Bello angle, get that picture. You were very determined, and you certainly got a good shot. Derrick, thank you for joining the Locked On Red Sox podcast. Thank you once again to Derrick for joining the Locked On Red Sox podcast and being gracious with his time. It is always appreciated. We are very busy in this household, both working in sports full time. So anytime he can give me to help with our show is greatly appreciated. We are going to continue the Red Sox talk in our 3rd segment of the Locked On Red Sox podcast. I'm going to preview Chris Sale and his start for the Woo Sox, and a little mental health minute as we always do to end this show. But first, let me tell you about BetOnline, because betonline.net is your #1 source for all of your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And betonline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn all about the trends and the action. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. So Chris Sale indeed will make, hopefully, what will be his final rehab start for the Woo Sox on Wednesday tonight at Polar Park. Alex Cora said before Tuesday's Red Sox game that the hope is for him to go 5 innings. That is a big ask, but it is Chris Sale. He only was supposed to go 3 innings in Portland last week. He ended up going 4. I don't think we're going to see 6 after he's expected to go 5, but you never know with Chris Sale. But this will also be a big test for the lefty because he's been out the entire season. He hasn't been able to stay healthy for a long time now, but if he can return to 2018 form, everything that you're reading about him from Alex Cora, from the trainers, is that his arm strength is at its best, that it's the best it's ever been. So that's incredibly encouraging. I think fans should definitely be encouraged about that. And all eyes will be on Sale in Worcester, while all eyes will be on Bello in Boston. So it's definitely a very exciting night for Boston. We will bring you every single update regarding Chris Sale, as well as Brayan Bello on Thursday's episode of Locked On Red Sox. But before we wrap up here, I just wanted to do a quick mental health minute. We always end this show kind of on a positive note. So as you probably know, I am getting married 1 month from today. It has come up so fast. And a lot of people have been asking me, are you getting nervous? Are you getting stressed? Like, how is the final stages of wedding planning? And we got engaged in January 2021. So we've had a lot of time to really take our time, enjoy being engaged, and plan our wedding. And honestly, the most stressful thing we've done, I think, is the seating chart. And we finished that on Tuesday night. And it only took about, 25, 30 minutes. There were some kind of, how do we mix up the tables? Where do we put this person? People not bringing +1s, or people maybe we thought were bringing +1s no longer are. So that was probably the most stressful thing about the planning in the 18 months we've been engaged, or whatever it's been. So it's something that's become a bit of a stress reliever for me, as weird as that may sound, but it is something that I've looked forward to daily. I was saying how Tuesday I had kind of a crappy day, but being able to A, talk Red Sox on Locked On Red Sox, and B, have a day off or a night off with Derrick and be able to finish out our final stages of wedding planning was really a good end to what was a crappy day. So just another shout out to him. And if you need help wedding planning, hit me up. I'm having so much fun doing this. Maybe I'm going to change careers and be a wedding planner, but let's end the show there. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every day. Rate, review, and subscribe to Locked On Red Sox right here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasted, where you can find us. Find us on Twitter as well at LO_Red Sox. Me, Lauren, 3 laws, Lauren with 4 R's, Jake at Jake Iggy. And make sure to check out all the other shows across the Locked On network. Locked On Yankees, Locked On Astros, Locked On Rays. Everyone does such a great job here. We love bringing you baseball content Monday through Friday. And now that you've made Locked On Red Sox your first listen, head on over to Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby, I'm telling you, he is a prospect encyclopedia, bringing you tons of insight about MLB stars of tomorrow, including people like Brayan Bello. So go check that out. Be sure to return to Locked On Red Sox on Thursday. Me and friend of the pod, Sully, Paul Francis Sullivan, just call him Sully, Locked On MLB host. We will be bringing you a crossover. So we are so excited. We haven't collabed in a while, so we cannot wait to do that. So have a great day. We will see you tomorrow.